Good morning, stars. Wow, I've had lots of amazing work from you all again. So well done, you. Today we've got our celebration assembly as well, which is going to be really lovely. And I'm going to share some of your amazing work with the rest of the school. So watch out for that. That's going to be really great for us to all celebrate each other's work and how hard we've been trying in school and at home. So well done, all of you. Today you've got a really exciting day. Some of you are going to be making storybooks. Some of you are going to be reflecting on all of the work we've done in our project around the world, around the UK. And we're going to be doing phonics and maths, and we've got a nice story to finish the day. So have a wonderful day, guys.
Good morning, friends. Good morning, friends. I hope that you are well today. We have a busy day before us with lots of work and lots of play.
Our project for this term is around the UK, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at where we are in the world, really, what we are a part of, and how we are positioned in the world. So some of the key vocabulary we're going to be looking at is a village. A village is a place where people live. There must be a church in a village, and there may be a school. Our village is called Goodnesston. A town is a place where people live and work. There may be shops, places of worship, which is like a church, leisure facilities, so that might be like gyms or parks, and schools there. It is bigger than a village, but it's smaller than a city. A city, this is the biggest settlement where people live and work. There will always be a cathedral, and there may be tall buildings. They tend to be busy places with lots of traffic. London is a city. Actually, it's a capital city of England, which means the government sits there. A county is an area which may include a group of towns or a city. England is split up into 83 counties, and we live in the county of Kent. A country is the land with its own government, borders and rules. We live in the country of England. And then you've got the United Kingdom, and this is 4 countries which make up the United Kingdom, and that is England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Our country, and the bit that we sit in the United Kingdom, is called England. And then you have a continent. So we're just getting, each time we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. A continent is a group of countries. The world is made up of 7 continents. You've got Europe, Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica and Australasia. England is in the continent of Europe. Now, one thing if you look at the bottom of your knowledge organiser here, you've got the continents and the oceans, then you've got the United Kingdom, then you've got England, and I've made a little sign that says London and Kent, just so you can see whereabouts in England we are. And then if you look on the right hand side, you can see where that arrow falls, where Goodnesston is, and next to it is Canterbury and Sandwich and Deal, and they're all of the towns and cities that are near to us. So also what we're going to be doing is we are going to be looking at some landmarks in London. So we're going to be looking at the City of London, because that's our nearest huge city, and it's the capital city of England. So it's really good that we have a really good understanding of London. So London is the capital city of England. It has 8.9 million people live there, as well as the Queen at Buckingham Palace. There are many famous landmarks. Now, landmarks are something that a place is recognised for, really, and that are quite special to a place. So I wonder if you could look in that picture and see if you can see anything that you can recognise. Straight away, I can see the London Eye. That's that big, sort of big Ferris wheel in the middle there. And that Big Ben is that huge clock tower there. So also we're going to be looking at our little village of Goodnesston. Now, you should be quite familiar with Goodnesston. You all come to school here. I know only some of you live here, but lots of you know it quite well, and you spend quite a lot of time here. So Goodnesston is a small village. Only 378 people live here. It is surrounded by lots of farmland and woodland. We know all about the woodland, don't we? It has a church, a pub, a tea room and gardens, and of course a school. So Goodnestone is very, very different to London, isn't it? And we're going to be looking at lots of different things that make it different to Goodnestone and London, and how different they are.
In Right Dance today, you need to follow the link again. I hope that's working okay and you're doing lots of lovely right dance moving and strengthening those fingers and those hands and those arms. So follow the link and I'll see you in a minute. So today for our reading and our writing, we are going to finish The Queen's Hat, and we are going to create our own version of the story. Now, some of you have created a story map, some of you have acted out your own version. We were changing the who, the what, and the where. So I would love to see what you've done so far. Send me over some photos. I've had lots of photos of people's learning journey, or someone telling me what their story is going to be about. And today what we're going to do is we're going to create some little books. Now, these books can have writing in, they can have pictures in, however you want to do it. I know with your writing, all of you, some of you are just starting to write and some of you are writing pages and pages. So I'm expecting really different things from all of you, which is really lovely as well. And I'm also expecting lots of lovely pictures because all of you are fantastic at drawing. Now, here's my story so far. I haven't finished it, I've just started it. So this is Mrs. P's map. So my story, like the Queen's Hat, I've changed the who and the what. So Mrs. P's map is what my story is going to be called. So yours might be Harry's book, or Carter's bunny, or Erin's socks, whatever your story is about. So I'm really excited to see what you guys are going to have written. So my story, this is how my story starts. So I've just drawn some simple images and I've done some writing in mine. So my story says, Mrs. P wanted to show Mrs. Donahoe something special when all of a sudden, woo! Listen, I've got on this page, I've just got my wind and, oh no, what's happened to my map? Poor Mrs. P. She's got a lovely orange dress on. Do you like it? And then I've put, so the children came to help her. The map floated high. It floated high above the pub. And now I'm going to follow my journey and I'm going to put all of the different places. So I used the pub, the woodland, the church. I used lots of different places around Goodnestone, didn't I? So you might have, I don't know, the school, you might have some shops wherever you live. Maybe you live on a high street and you've got shops around you. Maybe you've got the co-op, wherever your map takes you, or whether you're in a different place. I mean, the Queen's Hat was based in London, wasn't it? Maybe you've gone really exotic and you're on a foreign beach somewhere having a whale of a time and you've lost your beach ball in the sea. There's so many things you can have written about. So I'm really excited. If you're reception children, don't worry about the writing. You can have a go, write some words down if you want to, but I'd love to see you ordering your pictures as well. And it's fun making books. Just any kind of paper and make yourself a little book, and I'd love to see some photos of them. So in project, this is our last session on our geography topic of around the UK. So if you go and have a look back, every day I leave our knowledge organiser on the front of our learning so that you can recap and go through all of the things that either you will be learning or that you have already learned. So if we look at our knowledge organiser, I think we've covered everything on that knowledge organiser, which is really, really great. We've learned a lot this term, haven't we, already? In this 2-week project, we've learned about the UK. We've learned that the UK is made up of 4 countries, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland and England. We've learned that we live in Kent and most of us probably live in villages. Some of us might live in towns. We've thought about the difference between villages, towns and cities. And we've learnt lots about London, haven't we? We've had our lovely story, The Queen's Hat. We've had our other lovely story, Katie in London. So you guys have learnt so much. And now you've even made your own maps, which is just incredible. Well done you. Give yourselves a big pat on the back because you've learnt lots and lots and lots about your geography this term. So well done. Now, for our final session, I would like us to do something that's called reflecting. And that means having a little think back about all of the things you've learned about and what you think you've achieved over this 2 weeks when we're thinking about our geography, or around the UK and our map creating. And I want you to you can do a mild challenge, which is talk about what you've learned. I'd like you to think about maybe 5 things that you've really enjoyed. So I might say, I really enjoyed looking around London, looking at all the landmarks and, going on that journey with Katie and the lion. I loved doing that. I loved thinking about what the Queen sees when she's in London. So I might be able to tell somebody what I really enjoyed. A bit more of a challenge, a bit more of a spicy challenge. You could write me 5 bullet points about 5 things that you've really enjoyed learning about. Or if you wanted a really, really good challenge, you could do something like our knowledge organiser, which is on one of the first slides. You could create something like that about what you know you've learned. So you could do your own version of that. You could tell me, what is a village? What is a town? What is a city? What are the landmarks in London? What is the difference between Goodnestone and London? And you could really reflect on all of your learning. One of them, I've made a simple sort of waggle, what a good one looks like, on the next slide, so you can have a little look at that, but have a go. Here is my model or my waggle, what a good one looks like, and you can use this to create your own if you're going to have a go at it. These are my 3 top things that I really, really enjoyed learning about. I loved looking at my home, learning my address. I love looking at London and all the different landmarks. And I'm really excited to go there once lockdown's over. It'd be really lovely to get back into London. And I really loved looking at maps and looking at Goodnestone. Today we're recognising the difference between a noun and a verb. So let's have a quick think about what are all nouns. So these are all of the nouns, not just our pink words. We're going to look at all of our nouns today. So nouns are a person, a place, or a thing. So I'd like you to act that out for me. Stand up. A person, a place, or a thing. That's what nouns are. And verbs are doing words. Doing something, actions. So a noun, a person, a place, or a thing. A verb is a doing word, an action. Find a verb and act it out. So I'm going to read them for you so you can see all of the different verbs and nouns. Remember, a verb is a doing word, isn't it? An action. So hop, cat, book, bus, shout, wave, boy, flower, jump, stand. Which ones are verbs? Act the verbs out. Sort the words into the table. So on the left-hand side, you've got verbs. On the right-hand side, you've got nouns. So, butterfly, smiling, drawing, and toothpaste. Which ones are verbs and which ones are nouns? Write down the verb or say the verb and noun that is shown in this picture. So what's happening in that picture? There's a little boy, isn't there? And he's got something in his hand. So what would be the verb, the doing, and what would be the noun? Which of these words is the verb? Sliding, dress, or girl? Remember, a verb is a doing word, an action. Which one? Amanda says, I think the word jumping is a noun. Do you agree? What do you think? Is it a noun or is it a verb? Is it a doing word or is it a person, place, or thing? So in project, this is our last session on our geography topic of around the UK. So if you go and have a look back, every day I leave our knowledge organiser on the front of our learning so that you can recap and go through all of the things that either you will be learning or that you have already learned. So if we look at our knowledge organiser, I think we've covered everything on that knowledge organiser, which is really, really great. We've learned a lot this term, haven't we, already? In this 2-week project, we've learned about the UK. We've learned that the UK is made up of 4 countries, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland and England. We've learned that we live in Kent, and most of us probably live in villages. Some of us might live in towns. We've thought about the difference between villages, towns and cities. And we've learnt lots about London, haven't we? We've had our lovely story, the Queen's Hat. We've had our other lovely story, Katie in London. So you guys have learnt so much. And now you've even made your own maps, which is just incredible. Well done you. Give yourselves a big pat on the back because you've learnt lots and lots and lots about your geography this term. So well done. Now, for our final session, I would like us to do something that's called reflecting. And that means having a little think back about all of the things you've learned about and what you think you've achieved over this 2 weeks when we're thinking about our geography, or around the UK and our map creating. And I want you to, you can do a mild challenge, which is talk about what you've learned. I'd like you to think about maybe 5 things that you've really enjoyed. So I might say, I really enjoyed looking around London, looking at all the landmarks and, going on that journey with Katie and the lion. I loved doing that. I loved thinking about what the Queen sees when she's in London. So I might be able to tell somebody what I really enjoyed. A bit more of a challenge, a bit more of a spicy challenge. You could write me 5 bullet points about 5 things that you've really enjoyed learning about. Or if you wanted a really, really good challenge, you could do something like our knowledge organiser, which is on one of the first slides. You could create something like that about what you know you've learned. So you could do your own version of that. You could tell me, what is a village? What is a town? What is a city? What are the landmarks in London? What is the difference between Goodnestone and London? And you could really reflect on all of your learning. One of them, I've made a simple sort of waggle, what a good one looks like, on the next slide, so you can have a little look at that, but have a go. So today in maths, we are looking at subtraction again, which is taking away. This symbol up here, we've got take away and subtract. When we're subtracting, it's the opposite, the inverse to adding. Where we add, we take 2 smaller amounts, we combine them and then make a bigger amount. When we subtract, we have an amount, we take some away from it and we're left with a smaller amount. So subtracting is the opposite to adding. You're all getting so super with adding. And we're just going to do a little bit more work on subtracting today. Today we're going to go, so we're going to do some tasks which are between 1 and 10. And we're going to do some subtracting below 10. And then we're going to do some tasks which are below 20, but that more spicy, that Key Stage 1 task as well, okay? So it's sort of in 2 separate parts today. First of all, what I'd like us to do is I'd like us to get our Numicon out. And I would like you to order your Numicon from 1 to 10. So that is task 1. I'm going to do it on the board here as well. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, with Numicon, it's really important that we recognise the amount of the Numicon, but it's also important that we recognise the shape of it. So when you're ordering it, make sure you've got it the right way round. It should, when you line it up like this, it should make nice steps. Because what's really important is that you look at these images and you recognise straight away that's a number 5. You don't need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're just like 5. You look at that, 3, 7. So have a go at doing that for me. Then if you've got any numbers at home, like I've got, you could put those underneath it and match them to the right ones. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So feel like we've woken our brains up a little bit. We're thinking about number. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to think about subtraction, when we have an amount and we take an amount away. So I'm going to use our tens frames, which is what we were using lots of yesterday and the day before. So I'm going to put So how many counters have I put on my tens frame? I've put 5. And I'm going to use my Numicon as well. I've put 5 counters on my tens frame so far. Then I'm going to take away, here's our symbol for take away. I'm going to take away, I'm going to subtract 3. So I'm going to put my... Now, what I'm going to do with my Numicon, to make this really visual for us so that we can see straight away, I'm going to put my 3 Numicon on top of my 5 Numicon. I'm going to have to hold it there because that's not magnetic. Can you see now, when I put my 3, so I'm taking 3 away, so here I would go 1, 2, 3, wouldn't I? And I'm left with 2. Here, it's quite simple to do as well. I've got my 5 Numicon, I'm going to put my 3 Numicon over the top of it, and straight away I can see I'm left with, oh, let's put that over to the camera. Straight away you can see I've got my 5, I'm taking my 3 away, so I'm going to cover it up with my 3, and I'm left with 2. So 5 take away 3 equals 2. And we could have 5 take away 3 equals 2. We can draw those in. And we can do it on our tens frame. So 3 different ways there. As a miles task, I would like you to have a go at trying to do that with numbers under 10. As more of a spicy task, I'm going to do another challenge for you. So I'm going to do slightly bigger number here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over 10. So my tens frame is filled up. So straight away, do I need to count those? Or do I just know? A bit like, I know how many fingers are on my hands. I don't need to count them. There's 10. There's 10. So we've got our tens frame filled up. So we've got 10. So I'm going to count on from 10. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I've got 14 counters. These could be anything, couldn't they? They could be chocolates, they could be chickens, they could be squirrels, they could be pasta, they could be anything. So use anything that you've got at home. I always think food items like pasta are really easy. Most of us have a big bag of that in our cupboard, so that's quite easy for us to have and use. It's really good for us to physically do this at the moment, not just do it written down like this, but also be physically doing it. So I've got my 14, and I'm going to take away 5. I'm going to take away 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What am I left with? I'm left with 9. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some tasks. Our spicy tasks are going to cross this 10 and go back into less than 10. So that's really what we're looking at today. Our more mild tasks, you guys are going to work with under 10. You've got your Numicon at home. You can find yourself a little resource like bits of pasta, something like that, leftover chockies, whatever you've got. Maybe you've got some really small bits of Lego. Anything like that is great to use as long as you are having a go at making amounts, taking away and realising that you've got less. Here's some tasks for you to do here. So one of them is counting out the washing. Everybody has a washing basket, so this is something you can definitely do at home. Go to the washing basket, count how many pieces of clothing are in there, take 5 of them away. How many are left? For our spicy task today, we are going to look at our story writing again, our first, then, now. So in the first one, first there were 13 jam tarts, then 5 were eaten. How many were left? As you can see, there's 8. I want you to have a look at the number line as well and count backwards on the number line. Then on the next question, Rosie has used the 10 frames to calculate 12, take away 5. Can you see there how Rosie's used one whole tens frame, so that's filled up, so we know that's 10, and then 10 with 2 ones is 12. Use her method to complete those questions there. 17 take away 8, 15 take away 5, 14 take away 9. Can you see there how also on the partitioning where it's 12 take away 5, she's partitioned the 5 into a 2 and a 3 to take away easier from the 12, so that you can see that the 10 take away 3 equals 7. Teddy works out 15 take away 6. This is Teddy's working out. 15 take away 5 equals 10, take away 1 equals 9. Why is Teddy's working out wrong? Have a little think about that. Use the greater than or less than or equals to make the statements correct. 15 take away 5, is it greater than, less than, equal to 12 take away 5? 14 take away 4, is it greater than, less than, equal to 18 take away 8? 11 take away 7, is it greater than, less than, equal to 11 take away 4? Is Whitney correct? Explain how you know. She said, I can do this without working out any answers. How's she done that? To begin our phonics session today, we're just going to have a quick recap of all of our phase 2 sounds. So what I'd like you to do, you've got your phase 2 mat next to me. I'd like you just to go through and be able to name all of those sounds. So we've got s, a, s, p, I, n, m, d, g, o, k, 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 e, a, r, b, f, f, l, o, u, s. And that's what I'd like you to do. Really quickly, as quick as you can, go through them all. Don't worry about saying the pictures. I just want you to think about what sounds they are. And whilst you're doing it, I want you to really think about the shapes that your mouth's making, what you're having to do with your tongue and your teeth to make those sounds. Our task today is to write as many words as you can for all of the different sounds from our phase 2 sounds mat. You should be becoming really confident with these sounds now. We've worked on these sounds since September, or for the Key Stage 1 children, you've worked on them for ages now. So they should be really, really confident. Bit of a spicy task. How long of words can you find that start with those sounds? So I want you to think of the longest word you can that starts with a s or an a or a t. Maybe sausage or anteater. I want you to really think about sounding that out using all your phonic knowledge and have a really good crack. The Bumble Bear by Nadine Shireen. Once there was a bear called Norman who loved honey. He really, really, really loved honey, and he was always sad whenever it ran out. Getting hold of more honey was always a bit tricky. If only he could be a bee, he sighed. I could have as much honey as I liked. And then Norman had quite an amazing idea. It was amazing and brilliant. There, he's getting the honey and the bees are chasing him. It was an ordinary morning at bee school. Hello, bees, said the queen, who was in charge. We have a new bee at bee school today. Ooh, said the little bees. Everyone said hello. I wonder which new, where is he? Look at all those bees having fun, reading stories. Norman. What's Norman done? He's dressed up as a bee, hasn't he? Hello, said Norman. Oh, said the little bees. I wonder what they're thinking. Aren't you a bit big? Asked Amelia, who was a rather clever little bee. I'm a special bee, said Norman. I come from a land far, far away called Giant Bee Land. Said Amelia. And then it was time for lessons to start. Bee School Daily Planner said, name Norman. They began the day with some painting. Then Norman joined in with buzzing practice before everyone settled down for a nap. Look at normal tiny bees. The bees showed him all sorts of games during playtime and Norman was brilliant at waggly dancing. And then it was time to go home. Bee School is amazing, thought Norman. He couldn't wait to come back the next day. The next morning was even better. Norman was very good at finding smelly flowers. The bees really liked him. He was so funny and friendly, and he always tried his best, even during flying lessons. After lunch, the bees learned how to chase away anyone who came after their honey, like spiders, mice, toads, or bears. Amelia still felt there was something a bit odd about Norman. She tried to work it out and wondered what it was. Gasp! What's Amelia looking at? Bears, steal honey, smell bad, roar lots. She's figured it out, hasn't she? Amelia told the other bees what she had found out, but they didn't believe her. Of course Norman's a bee, they said. Just look at him. He is not a bee, and I shall prove it, said Amelia. She took Norman to the bees' secret honey store. Well, when he saw all that honey, Norman just couldn't help himself. Honey, 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 honey. After all, he really, really, really loved honey. I know, he's fallen in the trap, hasn't he? See, Norman isn't a bee, he's a bear, said Amelia. What the jiggins? Gasped all the little bees. Said Norman. He was asked to leave bee school at once. Oh, poor Norman. How do you think he's feeling right now? I imagine pretty upset. With Norman gone, things were quite different at bee school. Norman was such a funny bee, sighed the bees. Norman was such a busy bee, sighed Amelia. Norman was a naughty bear, said the Queen, and bee school is no place for bears. But later that night, the bees heard a loud crash and a diabolical roar. Oh no, they cried, it's a bear! And this bear was big and nasty and trampled all over bee school. It grabbed the hive and started to shake it. The bees tumbled out in a panic. They tried to chase the bear away, but it was just too big and too bad. But then, who do we think this is? Who could be this huge bee sitting at the top of the mountain? A fearsome, buzzing beast burst through the trees. Buzz! Eek! Squealed the bear. It's a giant bee! And it ran away as fast as it could. The bees were saved and Norman was a hero. Hurrah! They gave him a big pot of honey and the Queen presented him with a special award. You definitely aren't a bee, said the Queen, but you are no ordinary bear. You are, I think, a bumble bear. Ah, look how happy Norman is. The bumble bears were definitely allowed to go back to bee school. Ah, the end. Look at Norman, he's gone all the way back to bee school and he's going to be a bee again.